We're in our 2022 summer school as the Communist Party of Swaziland. One of our programs we organize annually. In the main, this program has helped to build our party and influence our struggle to this level. Our struggle for democracy started immediately when the regime built itself under the state of emergency in 1973. It is almost 50 years now under this rule. And this measure of period of time of struggle has been associated with tribulations, low ebbs, but in the last few years, in particular 2021, we have seen the maturity of the struggles of our people where decisive action was carried out against the regime. That led to the change of the political landscape in our country. As a party, we define that as a turning point, that the enemy and the regime was put into defensive position. And we've said this will be a permanent position, and as such, up to this fight, is still a permanent position. Mswati and his Tinkunda system are exposed to the true colors of what they are. A brutal system, a ruthless system that survives through violence. And our call for democracy now is one of the important themes or the slogan that the Communist Party of Swaziland has launched in 2019. It was in itself a content of this slogan was about how the Mswati regime needs now an offensive campaign, because we declared that Mswati cannot be in any way influenced to change, but instead there's a need now for the people of the country to organize objectively to end this system. In 2 years later, after this declaration, 2021, the conditions have actually changed. And as a party then, we are saying in 2022, our summer school had to reflect on those situations. And we have put it in the perspective and objective perspective that this struggle, this legitimate cause of our people must yield its results. The result is that the struggle must win. Winning the struggle in our own case means that the regime must be completely overthrown to begin a process of the smooth transition to democracy. As we have said, that it must begin with a conference for democracy, a forum that will incorporate all the struggling people, the oppressed people of our country in their different organizations, political parties, ideologically and otherwise. The church, the workers, the youth, women, communities, and all other entities of our society to join on common ground to define and shape up a way forward of how the organization of the new dispensation should be arranged. And we have said as a party that it must then, this conference must yield to an interim authority which will have all the powers to run the affairs of the state in preparation for the completion of the transition process. We have said that the army, the police, and all institutions under Tinkunda must dissolve and submit to the new authority. We have said in this situation, we want not only the people of the country alone, but the international community to be involved. And our call was that now, and in this period, these international community organizations, governments, and other institutions must stop supporting the regime, but wait for that period. So we will be fighting and in this course of action to build up and through the school this arrangement and make sure that it is clear to our comrades that how best are we going to organize this conference for democracy. And we are also aware that this conference for democracy preludes a process of the dispensation which will be characterized by a new constitution drafted and also establishment of the new order for the new dispensation, and then facilitate the elections that would declare the democratic republic, which would be the victory of this phase, which is the most important minimum program of the party. And therefore the school is battling over that. And in the course of this to be achieved, the biggest battle in our side is the victory to overthrow the dictatorship. Unless political parties are unbanned, unless exiles are allowed to return, and unless all political prisoners and detainees are freed, it will mean the course of action must move on. And through this kind of action, I think our view and the party and the school debates that there's a need to organize better for this offensive so that at least we win. And the other aspect of our theme relates to that the country must survive. Survival of the country means we are struggling for an objective, a political objective. And we are struggling for democracy, we are struggling for peace, we are struggling for development of our country, and also to end the poverty and the miseries of how our people are exposed to on a daily basis. So those issues defines the future. And in any course of struggles, there will be an attitude or there will be also short-sightedness that will allow the regime to play around on that game. The violence and brutality that the regime has unleashed doesn't qualify any reckless action in one way or another. It requires a systematic way of attending to this violence. Because by nature, the regime, in its own thought, in its own policies, it is clear from its action and its policies that its aims and objective is that if they lose power, no one must benefit from the country. We have seen how they are depleting the resources of our country since last year. We have also seen how much land is being dispossessed and masses of our people are losing land day in and day out. Portions of our land, fertile land and resources, mineral and other aspects of our land are being depleted with high speed. This is what defines our countries, defines our society. And therefore, those kind of things must be survived. Meaning, therefore, that there should be objective campaigns associated with this campaign for freedom, that we act with speed and make sure that we defend. Part of the struggles must be defending this depletion of our resources. As an example, we are losing a lot of mineral wealth because all those who support the regime now are begging up to say they can involve themselves into very unholy economic exercises that is stealing of our resources, because the desperation of the regime makes them to feel that there is no policy and the country now is becoming now a fortress for looting and also a fortress of on dirty economic activities. And it is happening at the expense of the wealth of our country, which we'll need for the organization of our society in the future. And therefore, we need to be very concerted, we need a concerted effort and be objective in that this struggle must also incorporate that it has got values that it needs to define in our future. And another aspect is that if the regime want to run our country into a horrible civil war, into a horrible brutal situation, it should be within our own hands that we need to organize and defend against any form of brutality. The theme of the party in this part of saving the country says peace should be part of the order of the mobilization of our offensive campaign. Without peace as an end result, our effort and our all campaigns will not necessarily yield the result we are. And it is also true that the violence of the regime must be faced with some organized violence from our people. But it must be in the notion that it must be supporting the political end. It must not be a game of exchange of fire, exchange of military might for whatever reason. But our view is that this war can be only won if the people of our country, who are the last people to speak and define the future, as stated in our own transition program, that we need a pervasive democracy. We must make sure that we make a dispensation of a popular democratic republic of people's control that enjoys mass and popular support from the masses. And therefore, any form of struggle waged in our country, whether it takes with you other means, it must involve the people, because at the end, it should come with them. And in the main, it is the people who are subjected to this kind of sufferings. The violence and brutalities have not started just now. Our people have been butchered by the regime over the years. And therefore, we are mobilizing them that a people's war, a people's army should be established to end this war so that at least peace can be achieved. It is in that way that we say our country must be saved. And saving the country means we need to make sure that all of us in our country understand the importance of acting with that kind of requirements. And as such, we think that through our party activism, if we have workshopped our comrades very well, they discuss properly about this subject, they will continue to do what they've done in the past to make sure that they take this resolution and this perspective to the broader section of our people. And we have understood that our people have never betrayed, have trusted the party position, and have always relied on the party's point of view. And in this case, we believe that the thorough work that we are doing means we recognize that we need to make strong and easy and even more clear explanation to our people that this course of action requires this. We are aware that the outcry of our people about how to wage the war of the people for victory has always been raised, and our political school will practically answer that question, and we are very determined. And from the spirit of the comrades and how comrades are sharing their practical experiences and also their understanding of how the struggle must be waged, literally will give and yield to the desired end. And we believe that this spirit of this theme will be carried out again into a practical programs as other themes that we have carried out, because we believe that the party has grown and is showing its capabilities and influence. But in the last part of it, we believe that the victory for the struggle of the people is due now, and more effort must be done. And as we call upon all in our society and abroad to also make their pledges and continue to make decisive pledges so that our victory is realized. We cannot win alone. Imperialism is involved in our country. Therefore, we need solidarity from the working class people of the world to support this struggle and cause of our people in many aspects. I think and we believe that the outcome of the school will give in some clarity about how programs will be run, because it's part and parcel of the political school aim that we need to make up a tentative program for the year which will garner the necessary direction and support and also the influence for the direction that must be taken, and also to advance and canvas how other forces and in the pro-democracy movement and elsewhere to make this effort very clearly. But we have already seen some signals that our people are already waiting and are already assimilating the spirit of the school, since we share some of the developments that, yes, the course of action should be taken in that route. And therefore, we believe that the school success will mean a well-prepared direction to the cause of struggles of our people.